The night I found out, I was on my knees in front of the stove, stirring millet porridge for my grandpa for the third time that week. He'd been losing weight fast, his dentures didn't fit anymore, and soft mush was about all he could handle. The pot bubbled gently, steam fogging up my glasses, and I was so focused on not letting it scorch that I almost missed my phone vibrating off the counter. My best friend Lin Wei had sent me 17 messages in a row. The last one was a video link. I wiped my hands on my jeans and tapped it open. The footage was shaky, clear RLY shot by someone in the audience at the city's fanciest revolving restaurant. Crystal chandeliers sparkled in the background, and right there in the center of the frame, spotlights blazing, stood my husband Gu Ming in the dark blue suit I'd ironed for him just that morning. His tie was the one I'd bought him for his birthday last year, silk with little anchors on it because he used to say I was his safe harbor. And his ARM was wrapped around the waist of another woman. Shin Jiechi. Heiress to the Shin real estate fortune. The same woman who'd clinked champagne glasses with me at a charity gala last month and called me sister-in-law with a smile so sweet it could have rotted teeth. In the video, Shinjechi laughed, bright and polished, raising her glass toward the cameras. "Thank you to President Gu for his company tonight," she said, her voice rang through the restaurant's excellent acoustics. "I hope our collaboration will be as pleasant as this evening." The cameras panned to Gu Ming, and I saw that expression on his face. That particular smile he got when he was about to close a deal, or when he wanted something so badly he could taste it. The kind of smile he used to give me back in college, when we were broke and he'd show up at my dorm with warm soy milk in a thermos because he remembered my stomach couldn't handle cold food. And then I saw his phone, held casually in his other hand. The lock screen was our wedding photo. The pot handle slipped in my grip. Porridge slopped over the rim and splashed across my wrist, burning a red patch into my skin. I didn't even flinch. In the other room, Grandpa coughed and rasped out, shouting who was that. I shoved my phone face down on the counter. "Nobody, Grandpa. Just a spam call. The porridge is almost ready." I don't remember spooning it into a bowl or carrying it to his room or helping him eat. I remember sitting on the edge of his bed, watching his shaky hands grip the spoon, and thinking about how he'd raised me alone after my parents died. How he'd worked 3 jobs so I could go to ART school. How he'd never once complained about the tiny apartment we lived in, the one with the peeling paint and the radiator that clanked all winter. Gu Ming came home at 3 in the morning. I was still awake, lying on my side of the bed with my back to the door, sta ring at the crack in the ceiling that I'd been meaning to get fixed for 2 years. He slipped off his shoes, crept into the bathroom to brush his teeth, and then slid under the covers behind me. His arm came around my waist, and I smelled it. Her perfume. Floral and expensive, the kind that came in a bottle that cost more than my monthly salary. He pressed his lips to the back of my neck. "Thanks for being so understanding, babe," he mumbled, already half asleep. "This project is going to change everything for us. You'll see." I didn't move. I didn't speak. I just lay there until his breathing evened out into the familiar rhythm I'd fallen asleep to for 7 years. From college suite RTS to newlyweds to this. I'd funded his first STA tap with my savings. I'd covered our rent with my salary when the second one failed. I'd taken on freelance design gigs until 3 in the morning so he could focus on networking, which apparently meant whining and dining Shinjechi at revolving restaurants. The next morning, I got up at 6 like always. I made porridge. I helped Grandpa wash his face and change his shirt. I went to work at the small interior design firm where I'd been drawing floor plans for 4 years, my name on exactly none of the big projects, my face on exactly none of the promotional materials. At lunch, Shinjechi pulled up outside my office building in a pink Porsche. She rolled down the window and waved like we were best friends. "Sister-in-law. Get in, I'm buying you coffee." I got in. I smelled his cologne in her car, same brand, same undertone of cedar and bergamot. I'd bought him that bottle for Christmas. She chattered the whole drive to some trendy cafe full of monstera leaves and neon signs. How amazing the gala had been. How charming Gu Ming was on stage. How everyone in the industry was talking about their upcoming project. Then, with the practiced CA realistness of someone who'd rehearsed this in the mirror, she said, "Oh, by the way, sister-in-law, there's this press conference next month. President Gu needs a date, and I was thinking I could fill in. Just professional stuff. You don't mind, do you?" I looked at her. She was wearing a Chanel jacket I'd seen in a magazine. 58,000 yuan. I was wearing a Uniqlo turtleneck with a stretched-out collar. Before I could answer, a man stood up from the booth next to ours and dumped his entire iced Americano down the front of my skirt. Cold brown liquid spread fast across the pale cotton, soaking through to my thighs. I gasped. The man froze, coffee cup still tilted in his grip, then sta root fumbling for napkins. "Oh God, I'm so sorry." He reached toward me, realized where the stain was, and yanked his hand back like he'd been burned. I was looking at my phone, I didn't see. I finally got a good look at him. Tall and lean, with gold-rimmed glasses and a gray CA cardigan over a plaid button-up. He looked like a grad student, or maybe a junior professor. His ears were bright red. "It's fine," I said, standing up. "I'll just go rinse it off." But Shinjiechi was already laughing. That tinkling, perfect laugh she deployed at charity galas and boa RD meetings. "Wow, sister-in-law," she said, loud enough for the whole cafe to hear. I was gone for 2 minutes. "You work fast." She turned to the flustered man. "Just so you know, this lady is taken. Very taken. By a very important man." The man's face went even redder. I genuinely didn't mean to. I touched Shinjiechi's arm. "Jiechi, stop." She shook me off and leaned in close, her smile still in place but her voice dropping to something sharp. "I'm just looking out for you, sister-in-law. Gu Ming's under a lot of stress right now. The last thing he needs is rumors about his wife fooling around in coffee shops." I read at her. This girl who'd known me for 6 months. This girl who'd accepted my homemade dumplings at Lunar New Year, who'd complimented my wedding ring, who'd called me sister-in-law like it meant something. I pulled my arm back slowly. "Shinjiechi," I said, and her name came out flat and quiet. "What exactly are you to my husband?" Her smirk flickered. Then she leaned even closer, close enough that I could see the tiny gold flecks in her brown eyes. "If you're smart, you'll keep your mouth shut. Gu Ming needs my family's money. I need his vision. We're good for each other. And you get to keep the title of Mrs. Gu, as long as you don't make a scene." She patted my shoulder and clicked away on her heels before I could respond. I stood there in the middle of the cafe, coffee dripping down my legs, feeling like I'd been gut-punched in slow motion. The man with the glasses hadn't moved. He was still holding a wad of napkins, looking miserable. When I finally looked at him, he shoved a business card into my hand. "I'm really, really sorry. Send me a receipt for the dry cleaning. Or the whole dress. Whatever it costs. Please." I glanced down at the CA Roadshow yuan. It read. Project Director, Yunding Hotel Group. Yunding Hotel. The chain that ran the senior living community where Grandpa was staying. The one Gu Ming and I had struggled to afford, month after month, because I refused to put Grandpa in a state-run facility. The one with the heated floors and the therapy pool and the price tag that made me cry in the parking lot after I signed the paperwork. I shoved the card into my pocket. "Forget it," I said. "It's just an old skirt." I didn't go back to the office. I went home and sat in the dark kitchen for an hour, staring at the cabinet where I kept my grandma's old rice cooker. Then I walked into Grandpa's room. He was awake. He was always awake lately, like he knew he didn't have much time left and didn't want to waste it sleeping. His watery eyes found my face in the dim light, and he rasped, "Xiaotang." "What happened?" I sat down on the edge of his bed and took his hand. His fingers were all knobby joints and papery skin. "Nothing, Grandpa. Just tired." He read at me for a long time. Then, with more strength than I'd seen him use in months, he reached under his pillow and pulled out a cloth-wrapped bundle. He pressed it into my palms. "Take this," he said. I was going to take it to the grave. I unwrapped it with trembling fingers. Inside were yellowed property deeds and a notarized will. I squinted at the text in the dim light, and my heart stopped at Yending Hotel Group. Founding shareholder. Ownership stake, 37%. Grandpa's name was on every single document. Along with a handwritten letter dated 20 years ago, the ink faded but still legible. He'd been a janitor at a tiny inn when the owner skipped town, leaving the property as back wages. The inn got redeveloped. The redevelopment became a hotel. The hotel became a chain. And Grandpa, who'd never spent a single cent of it, who'd lived in this crumbling apartment on 3,000 yuan a month, who'd worn shoes held together with superglue, was worth more than Gu Ming would make in 100 years. Why, my voice cracked. Grandpa, you had all this, and you never. He turned his face toward the window. Moonlight carved trenches into his wrinkles. Money ruins people. It ruined your father. He found out about it before he died, tried to fight me for it, got mixed up with bad people, ended up. He didn't finish. He didn't have to. I never touched it, he said. I saved it for you. For your escape hatch. He squeezed my hand with surprising force. If that boy was good to you, this was going to stay hidden forever. But if he wasn't... I laughed. I couldn't help it. A wet, hysterical laugh that turned into a sob. I pressed the deeds to my chest and cried until I couldn't breathe, while Grandpa rubbed my back with his papery hand and said nothing. The next morning, I got up at 5. I showered. I put on a crisp white shirt and tailored trousers. I didn't put on any makeup. Then I called the Yending legal department and verified the documents. They transferred me to a vice president who practically fell over himself to accommodate me. Then I texted Zhou Yuan. The number on the business CA road. He replied within seconds, please tell me you're not going to sue me. I have a very small apartment and a very large student loan. I typed back, I'm not suing. I'm buying you coffee this time. And then, 3 days later, at the press conference Gu Ming and Shinjiechi had planned for months, I walked in wearing a custom Chanel suit that the Yending stylist had overnight from Shanghai. I stood at the entrance next to the velvet rope and smiled at the photographers. Gu Ming's face went pale. Shinjiechi's lipstick almost ended up on her ear. I looped my arm through my husband's, the husband who had humiliated me, cheated on me, traded me for money and status, and I turned to the cameras. Thank you all for coming, I said, my voice steady as glass. As the new project consultant for Yending Hotel Group, I'm thrilled to see my husband and Ms. Shin collaborating so closely. The flashes went off like fireworks. Gu Ming's arm stiffened under my grip. Shinjiechi's smile cracked, reassembled, cracked again. I leaned in close to Gu Ming's ear, close enough that only he could hear me. Next time you buy her a 60,000 yuan handbag, I whispered, remember your wife's family actually owns the hotel chain. The cameras kept flashing. I kept smiling. And somewhere in the back of the room, Zhou Yuan was standing with his hands in his cardigan pockets, gold glasses glinting, looking at me like I'd just done the most interesting thing he'd seen all year. The fallout happened in slow motion, like a car crash you can't look away from. Gu Ming didn't speak to me for the rest of the press conference. He couldn't. His jaw was locked so tight I could see the muscle twitching under his skin. Shinjiechi, to her credit, recovered faster than I expected. She stepped forward, slid her arm through Gu Ming's other elbow, and laughed that perfect laugh for the cameras. What a wonderful surprise! We had no idea Mrs. Gu was stepping into the hospitality space. How exciting for everyone! The reporters ate it up. They'd write about the power couple, the unexpected collaboration, the glamorous triangle of business and marriage. None of them would write about the way Gu Ming's fingernails dug into my forearm through his suit jacket. None of them would catch the way Shinjiechi's smile didn't quite reach her eyes anymore. After the conference, we retreated to the green room backstage. The moment the door clicked shut, Gu Ming ripped his arm away from me like I'd burned him. What the hell was that? I sat down on the velvet couch and crossed my legs. My new suit cost more than my car. It felt strange and wonderful on my skin. What I showed up to support my husband? Isn't that what good wives do? Don't play games with me. He was pacing now, running his hands through his hair the way he always did when he was stressed. I used to find that gesture NDA ring. Now I just saw it for what it was, performance. Yending Hotel Group. Since when do you have anything to do with them? You're a designer. You draw floor plans for dentist offices. I pulled up my phone and opened the photo of Grandpa's property deeds. I held it up so he could see. His face did something complicated. Shock, then confusion, then a slow dawn of comprehension that curdled into something uglier. Your grandfather, he said flatly. That old man in the nursing home. He owns Yending. He founded it. I put the phone away. Well, sort of. He cleaned the floors of the place that became it. But the paperwork says founder, and the lawyers say founder, and the Shah Res say 37% founder, so. 37%. Gu Ming stopped pacing. His voice went very quiet. That's a controlling stake. Close enough. I stood up and smoothed my skirt. Which means I could call a BOA RD meeting tomorrow and veto every single partnership you're trying to build. Including the one with Shin Real Estate. Including the one that's going to make your CA rear. The silence between us stretched out like taffy. He STA read at me. I STA read back. For the first time in 7 years, I wasn't the one who blinked first. Xiao Tang. His voice softened. I knew that voice. That was the voice he used when he wanted something. That was the voice he'd used to convince me to empty my savings account for his first STA retup. Babe. Listen. I didn't know. How could I have known? You never told me. You let me struggle, you let you what I cut him off. Let you made me a fool, let you parade around town with Shinjechi while I stayed home making porridge for a grandfather you've visited maybe 3 times in 2 years. His face flushed. It wasn't like that. The project needed her family's backing. I was just flirting, seducing, sleeping with. I tilted my head. Which verb are we going with today, Gu Ming? He opened his mouth. Closed it. Then he did something that almost made me laugh. He dropped to his knees right there on the green room floor, grabbed my hands, and pressed them to his chest. I love you. I've always loved you. The Shin thing was business. It was never, she doesn't mean anything to me. You're my wife. You're the one I come home to every night. I looked down at him. This man I'd worshipped. This man I'd given my 20s to. This man who'd held me when my grandfather got sick, who'd promised me we'd make it together, who'd whispered sweet things in my ear while I paid his rent. You come home every night, I repeated slowly. After you've spent your evening wrapped around another woman. After she's probably touched you in ways, I stopped myself. I didn't want to picture it. You come home to me because it's convenient. Because I CK your meals and wash your shirts and don't ask questions. That's not love. That's a service. I can change. His eyes were wet now. Good actor. Give me a chance. We can start over. We can build something together, with your family's money, with my connections. We'd be unstoppable. There it was. The real pitched. I pulled my hands out of his grip and stepped back. Get up, Gu Ming. You're embarrassing yourself. He scrambled to his feet, but before he could say anything else, the door opened and Shinjechi walked in. She'd fixed her makeup, reapplied her lipstick, regained her composure. She took one look at Gu Ming's blotchy face and my calm expression and laughed. Aquay Road, she said. Should I come back later? Stay? I picked up my bag. I was just leaving. You two have a lot to discuss, I'm sure. I walked to the door, then paused and looked back over my shoulder. Oh, and Gu Ming, I'm filing for divorce. My lawyer will send you the papers by the end of the week. Don't bother contesting. I have documentation of everything. His face went white. Everything. I smiled. The hotel receipts. The credit card statements. The photos from the gala that I definitely didn't send to my legal team already. You wanted to be unstoppable, honey. You should have been more careful who you stopped on the way up. I walked out till the lobby of the convention center was still buzzing with press and industry people. I threaded through them, head high, and pushed through the revolving doors into the cold November air. That's when I saw Zhou Yuan leaning against a lamppost, hands in his cardigan pockets, breath misting in little clouds. He straightened up when he saw me. That was quite a show. Did you enjoy it? I kept walking. He fell into step beside me. I enjoyed the party where you made the heiress look like she'd swallowed a lemon. He matched my pace easily, his long legs eating up the sidewalk. The party where your husband looked like someone just told him his dog died. That was just okay. I snorted. I couldn't help it. He doesn't have a dog. He's allergic. Even better. Zhou Yuan grinned. His teeth were very white. So. Coffee for real this time. There's a place around the corner that doesn't serve iced Americanos. I checked. I should have said no. I should have gone home, made Grandpa's porridge, sta route calling divorce lawyers. I had a million things to do. But my feet kept walking, and Zhou Yuan kept walking beside me, and somehow we ended up at a tiny hole-in-the-wall shop with mismatched chairs and a barista who clearly knew him by name. You come here a lot? I asked, sliding into a booth. Every morning. He sat across from me and pushed a menu over. It's close to my office. Also, they make the best almond croissants in the city. Not that you asked, but you seem like someone who appreciates pastry. I did appreciate pastry. I hadn't had a good almond croissant in years. Gu Ming was always on some diet or another, and I'd stopped indulging in front of him because it made him moody. One croissant, I told the barista. And a latte. Whole milk. Don't try to give me oat. Zhou Yuan raised his eyebrows. Aggressive order. I like it. He got a black coffee, blacker than his soul, he said, and I rolled my eyes so hard I sprained something. We sat there in the warm little cafe, steam rising from our cups, and he asked me how I'd ended up at Yunding. I told him the whole story. Grandpa's janitor days. The inn that became a chain. The hidden fortune I'd never known about until 3 days ago. The boyfriend who'd cheated, the heiress who'd smiled at me while she stole my husband, the porridge I'd burned my wrist on while everything fell apart. Zhou Yuan listened without interrupting. He didn't look at his phone. He didn't check his watch. He just sat there with his elbows on the table, chin in his hands, and let me talk. When I finally ran out of words, he said, "Your grandfather sounds like a smart man. Hiding the money, I mean. Waiting to see if the person you married was worthy. He was protecting me. He was." Zhou Yuan nodded. "But now he's given you the keys. What are you going to do with them?" I looked down at my latte. The foam had settled into a pattern that almost looked like a flower. "I don't know yet. Part of me wants to burn it all down. Tear up the partnership with Shin Real Estate, tank Gu Ming rear, make sure everyone in the industry knows exactly what kind of man he is. And the other party," I was quiet for a moment. "The other party wants to do something good with it. Grandpa didn't hoard that money for me to use it for revenge. He saved it so I could have choices. Real choices. Not just survival." Zhou Yuan smiled. It was a different kind of smile than the one he'd given me in the cafe when he spilled his coffee. Softer. More genuine. "You're a better person than I am," he said. "If someone had done that to me, I'd be combing through their whole life looking for ways to ruin them. Maybe I'll still do that." I took a sip of my latte. Just, tastefully. He laughed. The sound was warm and bright, filling up the little cafe like sunlight till the almond croissant arrived. I bit into it and almost cried. Flaky, buttery, almonds shattering between my teeth, the perfect amount of sweetness. I hadn't eaten anything this decadent in years. Good Zhou Yuan asked. Shut up. I took another bite. I'm having a moment. He shut up. He just sat there watching me eat my croissant with a bemused expression, and I felt something unknot in my chest. Something I hadn't even known was knotted. When I finally wiped the crumbs off my fingers and looked at him, I said, "Why are you being so nice to me? You spilled coffee on my skirt." "Yeah, but you didn't have to do any of this." He considered the question like I'd asked him to solve a math problem. Then he shrugged. "Because you didn't yell at me. That day at the cafe. I was fully prepared for you to scream or cry or throw your drink at me. But you just stood there with coffee dripping down your leg and told me it was just an old skirt." He met my eyes. I don't meet a lot of people like that. I didn't know what to say. So I said nothing. "You don't have to figure everything out today," he added. "The revenge, the project, the divorce. It can wait. Right now, you just have to finish your croissant and maybe let me buy you another one." I looked at him across the table. He had flour on his glasses from leaning into the pastry case earlier. It was ridiculous. It was kind of adorable. "Fine," I said. "But you're getting the next round. I don't want you thinking I'm easy." He grinned. "Wouldn't dream of it." I stayed at that cafe for 2 more hours. We talked about nothing important, his terrible appartement, his student loans, the stray cat he fed on his fire escape that he'd named Chairman because it looked judgmental. I told him about my design work, my grandpa's love of old kung fu movies, the way I used to draw floor plans for dollhouses as a kid. When I finally left, I had his number saved in my phone under coffee spiller and a phantom touch on my shoulder where he'd brushed off a crumb. It shouldn't have meant anything. It was probably just a reflex. But I thought about it all the way home. That night, I sat in Grandpa's room and told him everything. The press conference. The divorce filing. The almond croissant. I left out the part about Zhou Yuan's hand on my shoulder, because that seemed silly and small, and also because Grandpa had a sixth sense for these things. He listened with his eyes closed, his breathing slow and even. When I finished, he opened one eye and looked at me. "This Zhou Yuan," he rasped. "He's the one who spilled coffee on you." "Yes, Grandpa." "Does he have a job? A good one, actually?" "He works for Yending." Grandpa grunted. "At least he's not a freeloader." He closed his eye again. "Bring him to see me sometime. I'll decide if he's worthy." "Grandpa!" "Iba rely know him." He's not," but Grandpa had already sta roots snoring, a peaceful whistle that rose and fell like a lullaby. I sat there watching him sleep, the property deeds tucked safely in my nightstand drawer, my phone buzzing with messages from Gu Ming that I didn't bother reading. The first chapter of my new life had just begun. And for the first time in years, I actually wanted to see what came next. The divorce papers hit Gu Ming's office 48 hours later. I know because my lawyer CC'd me on the delivery confirmation, and also because Gu Ming showed up at my apartment at 7 in the morning, unshaven and wild-eyed, banging on the door like the police were after him. I opened it in my bathrobe. I'd been up since 5 making Grandpa's porridge, and I had flour on my cheek and my hair in a messy bun that looked less effortless chic and more I'd given up on life. But I'd also had 2 cups of coffee, and I was feeling generous. "Go away," I said pleasantly. "It's too early for your nonsense." He pushed past me into the apartment. "You can't do this. You can't just file without talking to me first. We're married. This is a decision we make together." I closed the door and leaned against it. "Funny. You didn't consult me when you decided to start sleeping with Shinjechi. You didn't consult me when you decided to spend our savings on her. You didn't even consult me when you decided to stop coming home for dinner. That was different." He was pacing again, same as in the green room. I noticed he was wearing the same suit from the press conference, wrinkled now, like he hadn't slept. That was business. This is our mariage. You don't throw away 7 years over a business arrangement. Business arrangement. I repeated the words slowly. You let me believe I was going crazy. You let me think I was being paranoid every time I asked about the late nights. You smiled at me over breakfast and told me I was imagining things while you were out there. I stopped. Took a breath. I have screenshots, Gu Ming. I have hotel reservations. I have your texts to her. All of it. So don't stand in my kitchen and tell me what's business and what isn't. His face changed. The desperate pleading shifted into something harder. Fine. You want to play hardball. Let's play hardball. If you go through with this divorce, I'll make sure everyone knows your grandfather's money came from a janitor's job. I'll make sure they know you're nothing but a lucky charity case who stumbled into a fortune. I laughed. I couldn't help it. It came out loud and a little unhinged, bouncing off the peeling kitchen cabinets. You think I see what people know I spent 7 years being invisible. 7 years being Mrs. Gu, the supportive wife, the one who never made trouble. I am done being invisible. Let them talk. Let them say whatever they want. I'll be too busy running my grandfather's hotel chain to see Gu Ming read at me like I'd grown a second head. Then his phone buzzed, and he glanced at it, and something in his expression crumbled. She's pulling out, he said quietly. Shen's family is pulling out of the partnership. They RD about the divorce and they're worried about reputational risk. I felt a small, cold satisfaction settle in my chest. My lawyer had been busy. That's unfortunate. I'm sure you'll find another investor. You did this. He looked at me with something close to hatred. You destroyed everything I built. No. I walked over to the door and held it open. You destroyed it yourself. I just stopped cleaning up the mess. He left without another word. I watched him get into his car and drive away, and I felt nothing. No sadness. No guilt. Just a vast, empty space where 7 years of love used to live. I made a third cup of coffee, sat on my sad little couch, and called Zhou Yuan that he picked up on the second ring. Please tell me you're calling to tell me you found a better coffee place. I've been trying to expand my horizons. I'm calling to tell you my soon-to-be ex-husband just threw a tantrum in my kitchen and I'm feeling weirdly calm about it. There was a pause. Then, that's either really healthy or really concerning. Do you want me to bring you another croissant now? I hesitated. Actually, yes. Yes, I do. He was at my door in 40 minutes, carrying a paper bag that smelled like butter and heaven. He also had a bouquet of flowers, which he shoved at me rdly. I didn't know what you liked. These were the only ones that didn't have pollen. The florist thought I was insane. I had to explain the pollen allergy thing, which made me sound like a stalker. I looked down at the bouquet. White roses. My stomach lurched. Then I realized they were artificial. Plastic stems, silk petals, perfect and pollen-free. Zhou Yuan, I said slowly. You bought me fake roses. I bought you roses that won't make you sneeze. He pushed his glasses up his nose. That's called being thoughtful. Also, I got you the croissant. So you know. 1 out of 2 is still pretty good. I laughed. It was the first real laugh I'd had since the press conference, and it felt like uncorking a bottle of champagne. I pulled him inside and made him sit on the couch while I ate my croissant and told him about the Gu Ming showdown. He listened the same way he had at the cafe, all quiet attention. When I finished, he said, "You're handling this really well. Like, suspiciously well. Are you sure you're not going to fall apart later? I'm sure." I took another bite of croissant. I think I sta root falling apart a long time ago. I just didn't notice because I was too busy holding everything together. Now that I've stopped holding, there's nothing left to fall. That's either really poetic or really sad. I can't decide which. Both, I said. It's both. He stayed for an hour. We talked about his work at Yunding, the new luxury senior living project he was overseeing, the challenges of designing spaces that felt like homes instead of hospitals. I told him about my design work, the dentist offices and small retail spaces, the dreams I'd put on hold because Gu Ming's career always came first. You should apply for the senior living project, he said. We need a residential designer. Someone who understands what RMTH, someone who actually sees residential about the people using the space. I read at him. You're offering me a job. I'm offering you a chance to work on something meaningful. With a budget that doesn't make you cry. He grinned. Also, I get to see you every day. Which is kind of a bonus. I should have said no. I knew him. We'd met because he spilled coffee on me. It was too fast, too messy, too complicated. What the hell, I said. Send me the brief. 2 weeks later, Grandpa was moved into the Yunding senior living facility. Not the standard RD unit we'd been struggling to afford, but the penthouse suite. Panoramic views, heated floors, a private garden on the terrace, 24-hour nursing care. I signed the papers myself, my name on the dotted line as Prima Richard holder, and watched Grandpa's face as he was wheeled into the sun-drenched living room. He looked around at the polished wood floors, the floor-to-ceiling windows, the huge television I'd set to his favorite kung fu channel. Then he looked at me. This is too much. Grandpa, you literally own this building. I own a piece of paper that says I own a piece of this building. It's not the same thing. It is exactly the same thing. And you deserve it. I squeezed his hand. You gave up everything for me. Let me give this back to you. He grumbled some more, but he let the nurses set him up on the recliner by the window, and I caught him watching the sunset with a peaceful expression that I hadn't seen on his face in years. That evening, Zhou Yuan came to visit. He brought Boa RD games, which I found both NDA ring and confusing. You're going to play checkers with a 92-year-old man. I'm going to play checkers with your grandfather, he corrected. And I'm going to lose. Spectacle RLY. Because I'm terrible at checkers. It's a whole thing. Grandpa, who'd been dozing, cracked open one eye and looked at Zhou Yuan. You're the coffee boy. Project director, actually. But coffee boy is also technically correct. I did bring coffee. Grandpa snorted. He sat up straighter and gestured at the table. Sit down. Let's see if you're as bad at checkers as she says. They played for 3 hours. Zhou Yuan lost every single game, just as advertised, but Grandpa's laugh got louder and freer with each defeat. By the time I made them both tea and ushered Zhou Yuan out, Grandpa was smiling like I hadn't seen him smile in years. Do you like him? I accused as we walked to the elevator. I like that he's a terrible liar, Grandpa said. He doesn't pretend to be good at things he's not. That's Ra. He's not pretending, I said. He's actually just bad at checkers. Exactly. Grandpa patted my hand. You keep that one around. He's good for you. That night, I stayed late at the facility, reviewing the project brief in my temporary office. The senior living design was going to be my first major project, and I wanted it to be perfect. Every detail mattered. The lighting had to be gentle. The hallways had to be wide enough for wheelchairs. The colors had to be calming but not depressing. I was deep in color swatches when my phone buzzed with a text from Gu Ming. I'm at the old apartment. I need my things. Can you come let me in? I read at the message. We'd stopped talking after his visit, communicating only through lawyers. I'd changed the locks, but I'd never actually told him. I'll leave a key with the front desk, I typed back. Clean out whatever you want. I'll be there tomorrow to see what's left. Another buzz. I think we need to talk in person. Just once. No lawyers. Just us. I almost said no. Every sensible instinct told me to say no. But there was a tiny, stubborn part of me that wanted to look him in the eye one last time. To close this chapter properly. Fine, I replied. Tomorrow. 4 o'clock. 15 minutes. I put down my phone and looked out the window at the city lights. Somewhere out there, Gu Ming was probably planning some last-ditch plea. Some performance of remorse and love. He'd be wearing his best suit and using his softest voice. I wouldn't fall for it. I wouldn't. But the knot in my chest told me I was still afraid of what I might find when I looked at him. What I might still feel. Zhou Yuan texted me a photo of Chairman the stray cat, asleep in a sunbeam on his fire escape, captioned he says good night and also he hopes you ate a croissant today. I laughed and texted back, 2 croissants. I'm a monster. He replied with a string of fire emojis and a picture of his own sad dinner, instant noodles in a chipped bowl. Some of us are reliving responsibly, he wrote. A terrible example of adult behavior. I smiled at my phone like an idiot. Then I went back to my color swatches and tried very hard not to think about tomorrow. I showed up at the old appointment at exactly 4 o'clock. I wore jeans and a sweater, no makeup, hair in a ponytail. I wasn't dressing for him anymore. I wasn't dressing for anyone but myself. Gu Ming was already there, leaning against the doorframe like he used to do when we were dating. He'd cleaned himself up. Fresh haircut, crisp white shirt, that cologne I used to love. He looked like the man I'd married. He looked like a stranger. Xiao Tang. He straightened up when he saw me. You came. I said I would. I unlocked the door and pushed it open. 15 minutes. I'm timing it. The appartement smelled like dust and closed windows. We'd lived here for 2 years, and it still had the ugly wallpaper I'd always hated, the creaky floorboard by the kitchen, the chipped bathtub I'd scrubbed 100 times. It felt like walking into a museum of my own failures. Gu Ming followed me inside and closed the door. I've been thinking, he sta root. A lot. About everything. I turned to face him. Spare me the preamble. You have 14 minutes now. He flinched. Good. I know I hurt you. I know I was wrong. But I also know that what we had was real. 7 years doesn't just disappear. You can't tell me you feel nothing when you look at me. I looked at him. Really looked. The straight nose, the strong jaw, the warm brown eyes that had once made my heart skip. He was objectively handsome. He'd always known it. He'd used it. I feel tired, I said honestly. I feel like I spent 7 years trying to build a life with someone who was only ever looking for an escape route. And now I'm finally free. So no, Gu Ming. I don't feel love. I don't even feel anger anymore. I just feel relief. His face crumpled. I'd seen this expression before, usually when he lost a deal or got rejected by an investor. It was the look of someone who couldn't believe the universe wasn't giving him what he wanted. That's not true, he said. You're just saying that to punish me. I'm saying it because it's true. You want me to scream at you, cry, throw things. I don't have it in me anymore. You used it all up. He stepped closer, and I stepped back. What about the money? He asked. The yending Shares. You can't just keep all of it. We were married. Half of that is mine. I laughed. I'd been waiting for this. First of all, the Shaw residential were acquired before our Massachusetts riage. They're considered separate property. Second, even if they weren't, do you really want to go to court and explain to a judge how you earned that half? The sleeping with other women, the using my money to buy her handbags, the okay. He held up his hands. Okay. Forget the Shah-Rez. Just forget the money. What about us? What about all the good things? What about them? I crossed my arms. You want me to remember the good things? I remember every single one. I remember the time you stayed up all night with me when I had the flu. I remember the way you proposed, down on one knee in the rain. I remember the first appointment we read, the one with the leaking ceiling and the mice. I remember all of it. And I'm still filing for divorce. Because the bad things were worse. And there were more of them. He looked like I'd slapped him. I can change, he said weakly. I've already changed. I broke it off with Shinjechi. I'm not seeing her anymore. Because she dropped you, I corrected. Because her family didn't want the reputational risk. Not because you chose me. You didn't choose me, Gu Ming. You chose yourself every single time. I was just convenient. His phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and his expression flickered. I caught a glimpse of the screen. Shinjechi's name. Convenient, I repeated. Even now. It's not what you think, I don't see what it is. I walked to the door and opened it. Your time is up. Take whatever you want. Leave the keys. I'll have the rest sent to your office. He didn't move. He just stood there in the middle of our old living room, looking lost and small and pathetic. I felt a tiny pang of something. Not love. Not even pity. Just a distant echo of the person I used to be. Goodbye, Gu Ming. I walked out. I didn't look back. In the elevator, I leaned against the mirrored wall and let out a breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding. My hands were shaking. I stuffed them in my pockets and pulled out my phone. Zhou Yuan had sent me 3 messages. The first was a photo of Chairman the cat wearing a tiny bow tie. The second was a screenshot of an article about Yanding's new senior living project, with a red circle around the phrase "Our RD winning design team." The third said simply, "You've got this. Also, I bought you a croissant. It's in my office fridge. Don't ask why I have a croissant in my fridge. It's a whole situation." I laughed in the empty elevator, my voice bouncing off the mirrors. I texted back, "Is the croissant for now or for later?" His reply was instant, "Both. It's a time-traveling croissant. Very advanced." I was still smiling when I got to the lobby. The doorman, who'd known me for 2 years, looked at my face and smiled too. "Good day, I'm the best," I said. "The absolute best." I drove straight to the Yanding facility. I had a meeting with the design team in an hour, and I wanted to check on Grandpa first. When I walked into his penthouse suite, I found him sitting in his recliner with a laptop balanced on his knees, wearing reading glasses that made him look like a grumpy professor. "What are you doing?" I asked. "Learning," he grumbled. "Your friend Zhou showed me how to do video calls. I'm going to call your aunt in Shanghai tomorrow. She's been calling the nursing home line for months and I never answered." I sat down on the arm of his chair. "You're video calling Aunt May, Grandpa, that's amazing." "She's annoying," he said, "but she's family. And I'm not going to be around forever. Might as well make peace while I can." My throat tightened. "Don't talk like that. I'm old, Xiaotang. It's not a tragedy. It's just how it works." He closed the laptop and looked at me. "You look tired. What happened?" I told him about Gu Ming. The appointment. The 15 minutes. The way I'd walked out without looking back. Grandpa listened with his usual silence, and when I finished, he reached out and patted my hand. "You did the right thing," he said. "He was never good enough for you. I knew it the first time I met him. Then why didn't you say anything? Because you had to figure it out yourself. People don't lia rn from warnings, Xiaotang. They lia rn from pain. He squeezed my hand. But you lia rned. That's what matters. I leaned my head on his shoulder. He smelled like the old soap he'd used forever, and it made me feel safe. I think I'm going to be okay, I whispered. I know you will be. He patted my head. Now go to your meeting. And tell that coffee boy to come visit again. I want a rematch. I laughed and kissed his cheek. I'll tell him. He's probably already planning his losing strategy. I made it to the design meeting with 2 minutes to spare. Zhou Yuan was already there, sitting at the conference table with a spread of blueprints and a slightly guilty expression. I ate your croissant, I announced as I walked in. He looked up, sta riled. What, the croissant? In your fridge. I ate it. I sat down next to him. It was delicious. Thank you. He blinked. Then he laughed. I was going to bring it to you later. But okay. That works. The meeting went well. Better than well. I presented my vision for the senior living units, WRM colors, natural light, communal spaces that actually felt communal. I designed everything with Grandpa in mind. The handrails that looked like furniture. The showers with built-in benches. The garden with raised beds for residents who still wanted to feel dirt under their fingers. The team loved it. The head of operations, a brisk woman named Director Chen, nodded approvingly. This is exactly the direction we want to go. WARMTH without condescension. Luxury without coldness. She looked at me. I hear you've been through a difficult personal situation recently. I want you to know that we don't just support our employees professionally. We support them personally too. If you need anything, time off, counseling, whatever, my door is open. I felt my eyes prickle. I blinked. Harrowed. Thank you, Director Chen. I appreciate that. After the meeting, Zhou Yuan caught up with me in the hallway. You okay? That got a little emotional. I'm fine. I wiped my eyes. It's just, people keep being nice to me. It's weird. I'm not used to it. He tilted his head. You've been surrounded by the wrong people, then. Nice is supposed to be the default. I looked at him. Gold-rimmed glasses, slightly askew, Sierra with a tiny stain on the sleeve, hair sticking up in the back. He looked like a disheveled librarian who'd wandered into the wrong building. He was perfect. Are you doing anything tonight? I asked. His eyebrows shot up. I mean, I was going to feed Chairman and maybe watch a terrible movie. Why let me make you dinner? As a thank you. For the croissants. And the job. And the not being a jerk thing. He read at me for a long moment. Then he grinned. You're going to CK for me, that's a big step. Are you sure you're ready for that level of commitment? Don't ruin it, I warned. I'm offering a home-ked meal. It's a very limited time offer. Then I accept. He pushed his glasses up. I have to warn you, though. I'm a very critical eater. I'll probably complain about the seasoning and then ask for seconds. Perfect, I said. That's exactly the kind of feedback I need. We walked out of the building together, and I felt lighter than I had in years. The sun was setting over the city, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Zhou Yuan walked close enough that our shoulders almost touched. Hey, he said. For the record, I think you're really brave. Brave, I snorted. I've been crying in meetings and eating croissants from strangers. That's exactly what I mean. He grinned. You're rebuilding your whole life from scratch. That's terrifying. And you're doing it anyway. That's brave. I didn't know what to say to that. So I just walked a little closer, and he didn't move away. That night, I kept him dinner in my tiny apartment. It wasn't anything fancy: braised pork, steamed greens, rice. Comfort food. The kind of food Grandma used to make before she died. Zhou Yuan sat on my sad little couch and ate 3 servings, and he didn't complain about the seasoning even once. This is incredible, he said around a mouthful. You need to CK for me all the time. You'll get fat, I said. Then Chairman will judge you. Chairman judges me anyway. It's pa RT of his cha RM. After dinner, we sat on the fire escape outside my kitchen window and looked at the stars. Well, I looked at the stars. He looked at me. I could feel his gaze on the side of my face. What I asked, not turning around. I'm just trying to remember this, he said. The exact way you look right now. So I can tell my future self. I turned to face him. That's a very weird thing to say. I'm a very weird person. He shrugged. You knew this when you invited me over. I laughed. The sound was loud in the quiet night, and somewhere below us, a dog sta root barking. Zhou Yuan grinned, and in the dim light of the city, he looked younger. Softer. Thank you, I said. For everything. For showing up. For being patient. For not running away when things got complicated. I'm not going anywhere. He said it simply, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. You're stuck with me. And Chairman. And probably more croissants. I leaned over and kissed him on the cheek. Just a quick peck. His skin was warm. He went still. Then he turned his head and looked at me with those ridiculous gold-rimmed eyes. That was, I know, I said. It was impulsive. Sorry. I shouldn't have. He kissed me. Right there on the fire escape, with the city noise below and the stars above. His lips were soft and he tasted like the tea I'd made him, and for a moment, everything stopped out when he pulled back. His ears were bright red. Okay, he said. That was even better than the croissant. I laughed so hard I almost fell off the fire escape. He grabbed my arm and pulled me back, and we sat there tangled together, giggling like teenagers. Somewhere inside, my phone buzzed. Probably Gu Ming. Probably a lawyer. Probably something I'd have to deal with tomorrow. But tonight, I was on a fire escape with a man who brought me fake roses and terrible checkers skills and croissants he kept in his office fridge for emergency occasions. And that was more than enough. The divorce was finalized on a Tuesday. I know because I got the notification while I was in a meeting with Director Chen, and I had to excuse myself to the bathroom to cry. Not because I was sad. Because I was free. The weight I'd been carrying for 7 years just lifted off my shoulders, and I stood in that sterile bathroom stall with my hand over my mouth, sobbing like a complete idiot. When I came out, Zhou Yuan was waiting in the hallway with a cup of tea. You look like you've been crying, he said. Do I need to fight someone the divorce went through? I said. I'm not sad. I laughed wetly. I don't know what I am. You're a free woman. He handed me the tea. That's a big deal. You should celebrate. Celebrate how he thought about it. I could take you to the revolving restaurant. The one where your ex-husband made an idiot of himself. We could sit in the exact same booth and order the most expensive thing on the menu and laugh about it. I read at him. You're insane. I'm romantic, he corrected. There's a difference. We didn't go to the revolving restaurant. We went to the little hole-in-the-wall cafe where we'd had our first real conversation, and we ate almond croissants and drank lattes and talked about nothing important. It was perfect. It was everything. 3 months later, the senior living project was in full swing. My designs were being implemented, and the first phase was ahead of schedule. I visited the construction site every day, walking through the skeleton of what would become a home for hundreds of people. I imagined Grandpa in his penthouse, watching the sunset, video calling Aunt May and complaining about her king. I imagined other grandpas and grandmas, their kids visiting on weekends, their grandkids running through the hallways. I'd given up my old job at the design firm. I was full-time at Yending now, and I'd never been happier. My name was on the project documents. My vision was becoming reality. For the first time in my life, I wasn't someone's wife or someone's granddaughter or someone's assistant. I was just me. Zhou Yuan, and I had settled into something comfortable. We weren't officially dating, exactly. We were just, always together. He'd come over for dinner. I'd go to his apartment and feed Chairman. We'd spend weekends at Grandpa's suite, losing spectacle RLY at Checkers and eating takeout from the local restaurant that Grandpa pretended to hate. One evening, I was at Zhou Yuan's apartment, sprawled on his lumpy couch with Chairman purring on my chest. Zhou Yuan was in the kitchen, attempting to CK something that smelled vaguely edible. He'd been at it for an hour, and the smoke a la RM had gone off twice. I think you're burning the garlic, I called out. I think you're being a backseat chef, he called back. This is a delicate process. You can't rush ART. It's stir-fry, Zhou Yuan. Not a Picasso. He emerged from the kitchen holding a plate of something that looked fine, actually. Not great, but fine. He set it on the coffee table with a flourish. Ta-da. Edible. Probably. I sat up, dislodging Chairman, who gave me a judgmental look and relocated to the armchair. You made dinner. From scratch. Without calling me for help. I have been taking lessons, he admitted. From YouTube. Very thorough lessons. I picked up my chopsticks and took a bite. It was actually pretty good. The vegetables were slightly overcooked, but the sauce was flavorful and the rice was perfectly steamed up. This is impressive, I said. I didn't know you had it in you. I have many hidden talents. He sat down next to me, close enough that our knees touched. I also know how to fold fitted sheets. And I can parallel RK on the first try. Stop. I can only get so attracted to you. He grinned. That stupid, adorable grin that made my heart do funny things. We ate in comfortable silence, watching some terrible reality show on his laptop. Chairman wandered over and demanded scraps, which Zhou Yuan dutifully provided. After dinner, we did the dishes together. I washed, he dried. Our hands kept brushing in the soapy water, and neither of us pulled away. Hey, he said, not looking at me. I've been thinking about something. Oh. That's usually dangerous. Ha ha. He dried a plate and set it on the rack. I've been thinking about us. About what we are what we could be. My heartsta root beating faster. What do you want us to be? He finally looked at me. His gold-rimmed glasses were slightly fogged from the steam, and his hair was a mess. He looked like the most beautiful person I'd ever seen. I want you to be my girlfriend, he said. Officially. With the labels and the commitment and the whole thing. I want to tell people you're mine, and I want to be yours. I know it's only been a few months, and I know you just got out of a terrible marriage, and I know this is probably way too fast. I kissed him. Right there in his tiny kitchen, with soap bubbles on my hands and a dish towel over his shoulder. He made a surprised noise and then melted into me, his hands finding my waist and pulling me closer. Yes, I said when I finally pulled back. Yes. Obviously yes. I thought you'd never ask. Really? He looked dazed. I was so nervous. I practiced this whole speech. Save it for later. Kiss me again. He did. The next morning, I told Grandpa. He was sitting in his recliner, watching his Kung Fu channel, when I walked in with 2 cups of tea and a very obvious smile. You look like a cat who ate the canary, he observed. Good morning to you too, Grandpa. He took the tea and peered at me. What happened? You're practically glowing. I have news. I sat down on the ottoman. Zhou Yuan and I are official. Like, officially official. He asked me to be his girlfriend and I said yes. Grandpa took a sip of his tea. He didn't look surprised. About time. You knew, of course I knew. I'm old, Xiaotang, not blind. He set down his cup. That boy has been in love with you since the day he spilled coffee on your skirt. You just took a while to catch up. He wasn't in love with me then. He really knew me. Love doesn't need time. Grandpa shrugged. Sometimes you just know. I knew the moment I met your grandmother. Took me 3 months to get her to look at me, but I knew. I smiled. I loved hearing stories about Grandma. She died before I was born, but Grandpa kept her memory alive. What did you do to get her to look at you? Brought her flowers every day for a month. She told me it was ridiculous. Then she kissed me on the cheek and said I wasn't as annoying as she thought. He chuckled. We were married for 42 years. Best 42 years of my life. I reached over and squeezed his hand. I hope I get that. 42 years with someone who makes me happy. You will. He patted my hand. That coffee boy might be terrible at checkers, but he's good at you. That's what matters. 2 weeks later, I got a call from Gu Ming's lawyer. The divorce was finalized, but there were still some loose ends with Shared property. Nothing major, a bank account we'd forgotten to close, some furniture he'd left at the old appartement. I agreed to meet him one last time, on neutral ground. We met at a cafe. Not my cafe. Some anonymous chain place with no memories attached. Gu Ming looked different. Thinner. More tired. His suit was still nice, but it didn't fit him as well anymore. Don't you look good, he said when I sat down. You look happy. I am. I ordered a black coffee. How are you? I'm okay. The Shin thing fell through completely. I'm working on a new project. Smaller. More manageable. He shrugged. It's not what I wanted, but it's something. Good. I meant it. I didn't hate him anymore. I didn't even dislike him. He was just a person who'd made terrible choices, and now he was dealing with the consequences. I wanted to apologize, he said. For everything. For the lies, for the cheating, for making you feel like you weren't enough. You were always enough. I was just too stupid to see it. I looked at him. This man I'd loved. This man I'd built a life with. He looked genuinely remorseful, and I believed him. But remorse wasn't enough. It had never been enough. Thank you, I said. That means a lot. But I don't need your apology anymore. I've moved on. He nodded slowly. I heard about you and the project director. The one from the coffee shop. His name is Zhou Yuan. And yes, we're together. Gu Ming's face did something complicated. Jealousy, maybe. Regret. But then it smoothed out. He's a lucky guy. I hope you're happy. I am. I really am. We finished our coffee. We signed the final papers. We said goodbye, and when I walked out of that cafe, I didn't look back. I didn't need to. The future was in front of me. That evening, Zhou Yuan picked me up from work. He had chairman in a career, which I found very confusing. Why is the cat here? Grandpa requested him, Zhou Yuan explained. He said he wanted to meet his great-grandcat. His great-grand what? Just go with it. It's happening. We went to Grandpa's suite. Chairman was released from his career and immediately found the sunniest spot on the floor and fell asleep. Grandpa peered down at him with great seriousness. He's a good cat, Grandpa read. Kind eyes. Grandpa, he literally has one eye open. I can see his soul, Grandpa said. He has kind soul eyes. Zhou Yuan and I exchanged a look. We were both trying very hard not to laugh. Dinner was takeout from the restaurant Grandpa pretended to hate. We ate on the terrace, watching the sunset paint the city in gold and pink. Chairman wandered between our legs, demanding attention. Grandpa was in his recliner, contentedly full, a peaceful smile on his face. This is nice, I said. This is really nice. Zhou Yuan leaned over and kissed my temple. This is just the beginning, he said. Wait till you see what I have planned for next week. What do you have planned for next week? Surprises. He grinned. Good ones. You'll like them. I leaned into him, his arm around my shoulders, Chairman purring at our feet. The city glittered below us, full of possibilities. I'd spent so long being someone's wife, someone's support, someone's afterthought. Now I was just myself. And myself was building something beautiful. Grandpa sta roots snoring. Chairman twitched in his sleep. The stars came out one by one, and Zhou Yuan held me close, and I felt the last of the old knots in my chest finally come undone. I was home.